Hello and welcome to episode 5 of SeaPeople Live. This one's all about crew, and I am super excited for today's guest. We have Nate Porter from Expedition Drenched and Riley and Elayna from Sailing the Vagabonde. Collectively, they probably have more experience than just about anybody we could get on this show when it comes to finding crew, managing crew dynamics, expectations, personalities, all the things that matter when you're looking for crew and once they're aboard. They're going to bring us unbelievable insights when it comes to what it means to go find a good vessel for you to get on as crew, as well as for skippers that are looking for crew. Nate Porter has been hosting large groups of crew on his vessel through Expedition Drenched since 2019. He's got a big crew behind him today. We're really excited to meet all of them in just a sec. We've also got Sailing the Vagabonde here with us. Riley and Elayna have been hosting crew on the 3 different vessels they've owned over the years, a monohull, a catamaran, and a trimaran. I'm sure we'll get into some saucy stories and hear some pretty good insights on red flags to look for, green lights when you're looking at crew resumes, and everything in between. Let's start with you, Nate. How are you, buddy?
I'm so good today.
Where are you?
We are in the Philippines. We are on our way down to Borneo. We're so excited to be there. And I've got my entire crew from both vessels. We're buddy boating down the Palawan Islands. I thought it would be fun for all of our crew to say hello real quick before we really got into the bones of this thing. So
yeah, amazing. Who's the captain of the other boat?
Where is he? That's guy. Me. This is Bastion.
Dog.
Hey, dude.
Yeah, he's on Sylvia, the boat you've seen. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Nice one.
And how many crew are you in total?
What are we? The
10 right now.
Yeah.
And then we've got more coming in 6 days' time. So it'll be a total of 14 when we're going up the river that I understand you guys went up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're going up that river.
What's it called, Nate?
Kinabatangan, the Kinabatangan.
Oh, yeah.
You knew I wasn't going to be able to say it. That's
I gotcha.
There's crocodiles there.
It's so nuts.
You need to be a little careful.
Yeah, no swimming crew.
yeah. Some of these guys look like snacks too. I'd nip out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Elayna.
say hi, bye.
Yeah. Nice to see you all.
Yeah,
There you
so
go.
Enjoy
Good
it.
day, guys.
good
All
to
right,
see
we'll get
you.
into it.
Riley and Elayna, it looks like you are off the boat right now. Give us a little heads up on what's going on and where you are.
Yeah, so we like to spend 4 months sailing at a time. We found that 4 months is like a really good amount of time so that we still appreciate the boat and
The crew.
the crew. Yeah, 4 months we need a break. Just the kids get some time to play with other kids too.
Awesome.
Sorry.
So I want to just dive right in. I think the purpose of this podcast is to really give people a good idea of let's start with being crew. You guys have hosted probably more crew than anybody collectively.
Yeah, especially Nate. Oh my God, you've had so many.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm actually picking your brains on like your selection process and how you do it. But before we do that, Logan, sorry.
No, that's great. Riley, I think let's start right there. I mean, I think selection process is something that any skipper or boat owners in general, anybody that's on the boat is thinking about. And we can kind of get into ways to find crew here in a little bit, but there's got to be red flags, right? And green lights. Either, when you look at a resume, Nate, what matters more to you? Is it experience? Is it personality? Is it willingness to work? What jumps off the page and says, hey, this person's going to be good?
I think for us, if we don't need a certain specific skill set at that moment, like an engineer or captain, if it's just bare bones crew, then honestly, we make sure that they have traveled, that they've lived in hostels, that they've had that experience in life.
Yeah.
So that's important for us because honestly, and Riley, you guys know that my boats kind of feel like floating hostels. And so knowing that people are comfortable in tight spaces for sometimes months at a time is really important for us. So I'll pick their brain about that, make sure that they have highly traveled before. And I usually try to do a FaceTime situation like this and just see if they can just chat with me for like an hour. And if they can, if they don't feel awkward, then it's like, yeah. Sometimes people have a hard time talking about themselves or their skill set. That stuff we can teach, and we don't need crew to make these boats work. We have our core crew that make it all go. So it's more important that they're extremely friendly and just not awkward people. That's the best I can say.
Yeah, so personality matters. Yeah,
massively.
I think the vibe check is really important, but also because our boat, like, it's not quite a floating hostel. We don't really have as much space as you. So we tend to gravitate towards people that don't have huge personalities just because we're living on a boat. So I've got some of my best friends, I'd be like, dude, you can come for 5 days, not more. Like, you are just a massive personality and I love you, but you're not going to hang out with us for 3 months. Like, it's just not going to happen. You're
that's wrong. They need to have great personalities and
funny
some people can just take up a lot of space.
Yeah,
that's really true. Yeah. And we already have enough of a hard time. Just like, we are on film, we are filming for our YouTube videos. So the last thing we need is someone also just like being super loud. But we kind of
Having said that, Axel is very big and very loud.
Yeah.
But he takes the time to make sure that everyone else is like happy and well organized.
He's the best. We're so
great.
lucky.
We've got the best crew ever. In fact, we have been so blessed over the last probably 2 years, I think. It's just been amazing.
Yeah. One good character after another.
Yeah.
So what happens when it's not a good character? What happens when you get it wrong? What happens then?
I usually cry because they've flown half the way around the world to join us on the boat, and we're like,
you feel bad, and so you actually take kind of responsibility for that a little bit and feel bad.
Yeah,
I feel like we should save the real juicy stuff for the end of the episode. Good for analytics, Logan.
Yeah, not scare people away.
So stick around for the 45-minute mark.
Come crew for us. We hate you.
Yeah.
I guess in the past we've been so busy with work, because we do work on the boat, believe it or not. There's a lot of work that goes into the channel, but we've been so busy that we haven't had a lot of time to chat with this person for an hour like you have, Nate, which we would always do now. But in the past, it's been like we're just struggling. Like, yes, okay, this person looks okay, come aboard. And that's been a mistake.
Yeah.
So
we're actually really busy people, and I was speaking to another YouTube couple recently, and they like hired someone to take on their like a small side business, a reasonable sized side business. And I was like, how'd you select the dude? And he's like, I met him, he seemed okay, I hired him, I didn't have time to do any real due diligence. So yeah, we actually are quite busy, but yeah, I digress.
What do you think translates then? You started on all size boats, and Nate, you had a history from before you had boats like Expedition, Drenched, and Sylvia. But what do you think also translates to just somebody that has, a 40-foot boat? It's either a couple or a solo person, and they're just looking for crew to be a good fit, right? I mean, all these things seem like they also translate, right? You're looking for somebody that would fit the vibe of the boat, that has done some traveling before. Is there anything you think that's specific to some of the viewers that maybe aren't YouTubers and aren't running, large crews, they should really dive into?
As far as what kind of crew to look for?
Yeah, or just like what to look for in a resume, right? Or the resume could also mean a text thread, right? For your Instagram DMs or a SeaPeople message or whatever it might be.
I think that vibe check's most important. Outside of that, if you need very certain skills, like you'll find those. When I don't, their resume, unless I'm looking for those skills, matters not much to me, to be honest with you. Like, we can move these boats with or without. But it's more of we enjoy the company. I'm a very lazy sailor. I'm going to put that out. So with a big crew, like our watch shifts are funny. Like, you're an hour and a half driving the boat, and then you're an hour and a half co-captaining because there's 2 people. But when we have 12 people, do the math, you'll have like 12 hours off where you're watching movies, reading books. So I actually do love the big crews for those reasons. And like, everybody's fixing stuff, and you only have to cook once a week because there's 2 people on a cooking shift. It's a beautiful thing. It's taken some time, but we really have turned it into a well-oiled machine. And I want to say that probably how that came to be so smoothly is I did crew on other people's boats quite a bit, and I've seen how other people do. My first captain, he's a YouTuber, Captain Rick Moore on Sailing Sophisticated Lady. I think your first captain's always your captain, so love you, Rick. And then I was on Delos for a long time, and I really, especially on Delos, I saw how it feels to be crew. So I've lived in these people's shoes where you feel like you're living in somebody else's space. On Delos specifically, my bed was on the hallway to Brian's room. Like, you're living in their living room. And Delos especially, like that Amel, she's beautiful, but with 6 crew, she's smaller than she looks, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I first started this, I made a really good, at the beginning, it was like 12 pages, and it was like this letter, and it went through everything from where you can do things and how you can do things and what not to do and what should you do. Because my experience before was, like Riley and Elayna are saying, that everybody's working all the time and they're focusing on their own projects. And sometimes if you're a new crew, you're like, well, what do I do with my hands? And you want to help, but you don't really know what to do at all moments. And so I really set out to a thing where people wouldn't get frustrated. And this letter, it was like, it talked about drugs, sex, rock and roll. It talked about everything. Like, I hope this isn't a G-rated show, by the way. Put your kids.
No, it's not. It's not.
If you want to make out, you go on the top of the boat. Don't sit there and do it. Your fan doesn't cover as much up as you think it does, kind of thing. And when I actually came and met Riley and Elayna in Spain so many years ago, which is a beautiful experience for me. I have a funny side story, Riley, which you won't remember, but you sent me in the water to do a bowl-in because we were tying up to a reef or something like that. You sent me into the water to do a bowl-in, and I didn't have the heart to tell him I didn't know how to do a bowl-in. So I went down there and just botched the damn thing. And he went in after. And I know he retied it. He came up, he just looked at me and said, You probably don't remember it, but I remember it. And let's just say that I learned how to do a bowl-in real fast after that.
No. Terrible.
We've had that happen on our boat too. Crew that don't know how to do. That's funny.
Nate, you got to tell me if you don't know how to do it. It's fine if you don't. You got to tell the person.
Crew.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no stupid questions.
So true. So that learning from living in other people's space and trying to fully communicate what is appropriate, what's good, what's bad, what's ugly. I'm a very straightforward person, and that has helped with crewing over the years to make sure that people know what's expected. Setting expectations. That's the best way I can set expectations.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I love your, I haven't seen it, but I love the fact that you've got a 12-page document. I might purloin some pages, especially the sex and rock and roll parts, if you're willing to share that. I think, Logan, you were asking about specifically for other people on their boats and what to look for on a resume. I was just thinking that the smaller the crew or the boat is, the more roles that a person needs to fulfill. And you need to fulfill, or your crew needs to fulfill roles that you aren't particularly strong at. So then the boat itself has a nice balanced crew. So if you're good with, I would say I'm pretty good with weather and general, seamanship, but not so good at fixing stuff. When I'm getting someone, I want an engineer or something like that. That's the first thing that I need, is someone that's excellent at that sort of stuff.
Super handy.
Yeah. And you would need to identify that as a captain, your weak spots, especially if you're only bringing on normally a person, say you're crossing the Atlantic or the Pacific or something, you're going to grab like one or two crew. And if there's not many spots, that person needs to do more things. And then you might lean a little bit away from the vibe and more into a more professional sort of crew. And that's sort of the tightrope that you're walking there. But identifying the areas that you're not particularly excellent at and trying to grab people that
that's a good point. And so for somebody that's sitting here listening going, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a fixer, I assume that could be anything for anybody in any different boat, right? There's probably plenty of skippers out there that hate going down below to cook. So if you want to cook, that's something you can do, right? Or just to be very out, straight up in the beginning and say, I don't know much, but I love learning and I'm willing to help keep the boat tidy and clean, and some of these other kind of things that you can. I've heard of people that have gotten roles as crew because they told people that they were an excellent masseuse. And somebody was like, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. So Nate, you've got a 12-page document. Riley and Elayna.
I've reduced that to 2 pages, but keep going.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you?
On the trajectory of people's attention spans. So like 5 years ago, 12 pages was fine.
Now it needs to be 5 seconds or less.
Yeah.
Do you when people come on, Riley and Elayna, do you send them things ahead of time, or do you kind of onboard them when you get there, as far as walking them through the boat? When it comes to explaining things, for people that have never been on a boat before, they don't understand that even a pair of sunglasses or a pair of shoes in the salon, in common spaces, can start to feel like they're getting in the way. And it seems so tedious and seems so ridiculous to say to somebody that's not lived in such tight quarters. But how do you kind of prep people for this drastic change, which is boat life?
We give them a job outline before we're about to recruit them. and tell them what their roles will be each day. But all the tiny details on the day they arrive, we basically say to them, look, there's going to be so much that unfortunately we're just going to have to keep telling you for the next couple of weeks. And it might get annoying. Please don't hate us. That's just the way it is. Like, you might feel like we're picking on you, constantly telling you, like, please put away your hat. It can't stay in the saloon. We don't have much room. We just really apologize, and that helps. And it totally takes the edge off. And it's kind of like a joke.
Send an email.
Yeah, he sends an email. Then it's kind of like a WhatsApp message when they're on board. And then it's just like training, talking with them day to day. And usually by 2 weeks, they're just amazing.
Or not on board anymore.
Or not on board anymore. Yeah.
What if it's a friend? What if it's just a buddy? I mean, when friends come, do you try to keep it informal and not do that kind of stuff?
Friends are exhausting, man.
They're the
so
worst.
Annoying because
Do you feel that way as well, Nate?
Oh yeah, because you want to have your friends, and now you have to be with your friend. You're captaining them, and it's just a shit situation to be in for both of you. So, when my friends come, I struggle with them the most. Some of my best friends I've just been exhausted with after like 3 days.
Yeah.
There's a different expectation. Normally, I'm not captaining them at all. It becomes a charter at that point. For the most part, if we've got someone on board. So we're like, what do you want to do? Let's go here. But then because of that, it's a lot to take on and a lot of our time. So we don't really do that very often. It's sort of like mum and dad.
Yeah, I think when friends come on, we say like, it would be great if you could help cook and clean. It would be great if you could help sail, but there's no expectations. Yeah. And they're usually on holiday mode. So we just face the facts that we are taking them for a charter essentially. And it's really fun, and we always look back on it, and it's great, and we're so grateful our friends come to visit. But yeah, it's completely different to having paid crew.
Yeah. And then depending on, what type of person they are or their experience or how they take to that, we might say, oh, geez, like you can stay for months if you want. Like you are just like super helpful and you got it. Or that like other people come for a bit of a holiday and then they go again, and that's also fine.
And the funny thing about getting it is that even some crew might not get it, is that the help, you basically need help the whole time to run the ship. It's like day in and day out, just being switched on, I guess. That's hard for some people. Some people don't realize that it's a lot. To sail a boat and have a good time.
And also when's the time to like really go and switch your brain off so that you are relaxed as well. It's tough.
It's tough. That's why we're doing a podcast about it.
When you mentioned party mode or vacation mode, people definitely get on boats and start to enjoy the fact that they're on a boat, right? They start to kind of get into that party mode. Nate, you're in a little different situation because other than me, I'm assuming maybe your other skipper, you're not really paying crew to be there with you. So how do you maintain and regulate party mode, right? As far as the boat operating safely and everybody staying safe, but still having the good time that obviously we all want to have.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, it does happen. It happens. We go through like waves of it. And I think that's back to when my friends come, big personalities, a bit more debaucherous, and especially they're not maybe there for the whole time. We do things a little bit different, and I think that's why we have such a large crew. We do what I would call crew contribution trips, and so people are actually paying to be here. It helps offset the food, the fuel. The maintenance is like the biggest one. Stuff breaks all day, every day. So I think that's why I'm like, okay, well, even if you don't have any skills, come on board. And we'll teach people how to scuba dive. We teach people how to sail. And it's kind of like that agreement of like, okay, you didn't come with skills, but your contribution helps make the machine work as a whole. Because these big expedition boats, they are a labor of love, put it that way.
Is
and
it
when it comes
draining for you running so many people?
Since having the two vessels, that's been a lot of logistics. Like if you go here, you go there. Right now, for instance, the boats are about to split. I'm hauling one out in the north end of Borneo while the other one goes up the river that I'm not going to say the name of. And yeah, it's a lot of logistics. Yeah, ding, ding, ding. It's a lot. And you know what? It's emotionally draining. And maybe you'll feel the same where your family moves out every like 6 weeks or so. And then a new family moves back in. And for anybody who's spent some real time at a hostel where after 2 weeks, if people come and they're like, oh, we're only here for 2 days, you don't even give them time of day. You're like, I don't have the emotional capacity to have a short-term friendship. So yeah, I think that's hard, is having so many people that you absolutely love. with our trips being as long as they are, usually 4 to 6 weeks, by the end, it's quite sad. But I've had crew come back time and time again, up to 3 times. And sometimes they're here I've had crew here for up to like 4 years before. So,
Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it is, when you said it's like family, I think that's a point that's so perfect. And we talk about family as well. And a lot of people just don't understand that. But I've had crew on board for like 6-8 weeks, something like that. And you are together 24 hours a day, and they're sleeping a meter away a lot of the time. I know that they have bad breath in the morning. I know when they're farting. They know that about me. Like, it's just it is like family, and very close and emotionally draining. But it is for them as well. And it's such a roller coaster the whole time. And I know they haven't slept. So I know the next day they're going to be a bit annoyed, and you give them a bit of room, and then they get to learn that about you as well. The vicissitudes and idiosyncrasies of humans and our emotions, and what all of that equates to when we're trying to relate to one another. That's the thing. And that's why the last 5 months was like legitimately the best 5 months of my life. Like, the crew that we had and how we all gelled and what we did was just so incredible.
A
Just
trip's
amazing.
nothing without the people, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can be in the best place ever, but if you're by yourself, not that good.
I also want to pipe in that usually on every trip, there's at least one moment where you're like, we barely got out of that. Like, you might die.
Yeah.
That's a bonding experience where it's just us out here. Anything could happen. And you go through these moments where you feel that isolated and that something might have happened. And that makes you closer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's my favorite thing about sailing, I think.
And then we've got the kids. You throw the kids in there as well, and it's a different dynamic, and it's good and bad, but the family side of it really does hit home.
Speaking of kids, what's the youngest person that you think would make good crew? I mean, if you had somebody come on, Nate, you may or may not have an age cutoff, but for an average person on a regular boat, or for SLV or Expedition Drenched, what do you think is kind of too young to come on and handle life as crew on a boat?
We've had a cutoff age of 22. That's been our cutoff age. And it's just a maturity thing. But to be honest, one of these girls, she's running around here, she's 19. But when she messaged me, she's like going through her ASA sailing courses. Her dream is to have her own boat and to be a captain. And she actually has been doing this for 5 years. And this is like her 5th boat. She's crossed the Atlantic. So I try not to make ageism too big of a thing. But I will be honest that on the flip side, 19-year-old girl. And so a lot of times we have an older cutoff as well, energy levels, and it's dangerous out here. But I've learned to not just look at the number. It's more the connection of the person.
Yeah.
What about you guys? I mean, Riley and Elayna, you're sometimes in a little different situation. Obviously, you've got the kids and you've got people coming on for different tasks. What's the youngest person you think you've ever had on SLV?
Maybe, yep. I think 19.
Nah, she must have been younger than that.
Maybe 18. Yeah, this was very early days. I think it just depends. So right now we are so busy that we really can't afford to have someone on board that's quite inexperienced, because we don't have a lot of time to teach them the ropes. So like what Nate said, finding someone who has traveled before and is a little rough around the edges, someone who has dealt with some shit, basically. That's our kind of person, because you're dealing with shit all day. You need to be able to deal with that. But
I could imagine a 16-year-old that was just absolutely hell-bent on sailing and could prove to me that they, were willing to do sort of anything that it takes.
And they have the energy.
Yeah.
And they don't get seasick.
And, and had done a little bit of travel. There's a few things that we would need to organise, but I've got some family who are at about that age. And I'm like, no way. Maybe this girl here, like, she's starting to get a little bit worldly. I can imagine a really young person, but it would have to be a pretty incredible individual.
Something we would love to do in the future is bring someone really young aboard who hasn't seen the world and show them, because how magic to give them that experience. But right now it's not the time for us. But now it's kind of the same as you, Nate, 22, 24, that's the good age.
24, and he's amazing.
But he even says it himself. He's like an old soul. He is. He's so just happy. just doing his little thing on the boat, fixing things. He's great.
Talk to me about seasickness, Nate. Elayna just brought that up. I mean, there's people that have taken an ASA course on a lake or on a local bay, and they don't actually know how they're going to feel in the ocean, and they fly halfway across the world to join you. And then what happens if they get seasick? I'm assuming you tell them, hey, it might pass, right? First hope is that it kind of passes. But what about, have you ever had somebody that it just doesn't pass for? They're just kind of chronically seasick and gotta go?
Yeah. We've only had 2 crew ever that it didn't pass, and they were on the same trip together. These 2 girls, just the moment we picked up the anchor to the moment we put it down, they were puking. And it didn't matter if we were in like lake water, not even a ripple. It, like the moment that the boat started moving, they were puking. And to the point where I was really concerned, like trying to feed them water. And outside of that, and like we're talking 2 out of 300. So most people, it passes. It'll pass. And I give them, thankfully, I don't get seasick and have never gotten seasick, but I give them all the advice I can. I think the worst thing to do is just admit defeat and curl up into a ball. And then you're going to meet your maker if you do that. Good luck.
Was it worse for the crew getting seasick on the catamaran or on the trimaran or on the monohull for you guys? Riley and Elayna, you've been on 3 very different riding vessels at this point.
Our view is a bit skewed because I was pregnant during the whole time we were on our catamaran. So I was seasick because of that catamaran. But I don't think our crew really got sick on the cat, did they?
I can't imagine that the monohull was far more uncomfortable than the other 2 vessels. So that alone, it just adds another layer of discomfort, which I think adds to seasickness, which I don't think is entirely physical. There's like people are afraid, they're in a strange environment, and I think that's why it passes as well. So there are physiological things, but I think there's a lot of it is, well, a certain percentage of it is psychological. So I'm sure that people would have suffered more on the monohull and then incrementally less as it gets more comfortable to a certain extent, you know.
There's a whole debate though, Pete. Some people say they get much more seasick on a cat because it like bounces on all 4 corners rather than like heeling to a side, you know, but
yeah, I'm sure that there are outliers.
let us know what you guys think in the comments.
Throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat.
Someone goes, I went on a monohull and a catamaran, and that's not my experience. But like, I think that generally speaking,
the less movement.
The key takeaway here, though, is really if you're seeking crew and you want to hop on a boat with somebody, you know, whether it's locally for a day sail in your local area, or people shouldn't really factor in a fear of seasickness and whether or not they'll get seasick. If they want to go, they should go. And people talk about that all the time and they let that limit them. And it sounds like they should not.
Well, let's plug SeaPeople here, Logan. So if someone wants to crew on a boat locally before they go and join Nate, so Nate's like, I'm interested, like the vibe check is just sizzle. You seem like a really cool dude or dudette, and they want to get some local experience. How would they do that on SeaPeople? Yeah,
kind of the same way they can touch base with Nate. And Elayna has made a really cool tutorial on this. We're actually going to boost that again soon, and I'll attach it to the blog post where this webinar will live. But you can hop in your profile and tap edit and scroll down, and there's a spot for crew. You can toggle that on. You can choose the date range that you want to crew, that you're available to crew, and you can select the areas. And then if you're a skipper looking for crew, you can do the same. And then you can hop over to the Explorer map. The Explorer map is where all the people are, and you can actually use the filters at the top to filter by people that are looking to crew and boats that are looking to crew. And you can kind of scroll around the world and see different stuff and just manually see if you match. You know, the kind of crew matching is something that's on our radar, and it's something that we've discussed at length. I'm sure we'll build soon. But right now you can to do it, and you can do it for free. I think that's the coolest part. You don't have to pay $70 a month to get on the crewing platforms. But yeah, I think, you know, for anybody, whether that's a day sail option or that is finding somebody like Nate to go on an epic adventure with, you can use those search tools. But Nate, you found some crew on SeaPeople. I think SLV has as well. But Nate, how did you find the crew on SeaPeople?
Yeah, I don't know how they find us, but we did exactly what you said. We say we're accepting crew, and they must be searching on the map, and they pop up and they message us. And from there, once I get messages from any one of our platforms, we actually have a website built up, and I just send them to that because they're not like hop on, hop off. There's dedicated times that our trips go. So I make sure that it works for them. But I've gotten quite a few messages through SeaPeople. It's been a great resource. And for myself, I haven't looked for crew on there because of course, they find us. But the haul out place I'm about to go to, I find sailors there and I'm like, okay, give me the contact. There's a lot of communication that I've done through this app. It's hard out here. Like, it's hard to know where to go, what to do, especially with customs, immigration, or just where to be. And to find
Especially
people in an area you're going to, and it's so much easier than like group chats from WhatsApp. You just literally take your little map, you search, I want to go there. You find 5 sailors and you're like, what's up?
What are we doing?
I think the cool thing too is that you can see something about people, right? If they've made themselves a profile, you can see if they have any trips in their logbook. You can kind of see their experience right off the bat. You can do that quick vetting.
Contact their previous captains and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing if you're a young person or anyone out there that's looking to crew, like if you have, you're interested and you're looking to get on board for whatever reason, you have something to bring to the table, but it's not necessarily sailing. And then if you've taken the time to join a local club and start doing some sailings, everything is like, I'm keen. This is what I've done. Like that's, if I'm looking at a resume and then eventually talking to a person, that's just huge. I'm like, okay, this person is enthusiastic. They really want this. Yeah, that's one of the things that, SeaPeople does do really well is help out there.
Let's pivot a little bit. I want to get a little saucy here. I want to hear about some of your favorite stories, some of the crazy stories. Nate, you've got a lot of crew. And Ryan, Elayna, you have crew. And if anybody's watched the videos, you can tell that some of these crew on both of these vessels are highly attractive people. You're hanging out. You're spending all day in bathing suits. There's got to be crew hookups and crew that bound to happen. Is that encouraged? Is that discouraged? Is that always turn out great? Or there's some times when that hasn't turned out great?
We always say, as long as it doesn't affect the rest of the crew, it's fine. Do whatever you want.
Or watching a little love blossom is kind of beautiful.
Ooh, pretty cool. Yeah, that's got to be cool.
Absolutely. That's like just a gorgeous thing. So go for it. But if things don't go well, you need to maintain a level of professionalism. And if you can't, then we need to have a chat.
Yeah, I'm watching one of those right now. Just, it's fun. I like to call them boatmances. And my favorite part of all this is like they come on, and it usually happens early on, the first couple of days. And then because we have such a large crew, I like just sitting back and watching all of this like unfold. It's in the crew letter, and I do like to communicate about it because I have had a lot of boatmances where day 3 love was sprung, but then by week 3 they realize they can't stand that person. I love watching when people try to trade who their person is. It's like this fun game to watch, and sometimes it's worked out beautifully and sometimes not. But I've been told so many times that I should be filming the stuff that I don't film, and all the stuff I do film, just throw that in the bin. I honestly should just be filming, but I can't do that. This isn't the Love Boat, and it's certainly not Below Deck. I'm not playing that game.
Yeah, we didn't film that either. I was thinking that I was really doing my audience a disservice, but I felt what you felt as well. I felt like I wasn't doing the exact right thing for my audience because there was a story unfolding that I was like keeping from them. And I was like, what do I do here? But we didn't film anything really. So, there was a few little cuddles.
We've had some couples on the boat that go to the beach to be intimate, which is very nice. They just take the dinghy and go to the beach on some deserted island. Like, how romantic. Bit sandy, yeah.
Bit sandy.
Yeah, that happens. I've had couples that have actually lasted quite a while after the boat. And I'm proud to say that I think at this point I've got 8, maybe 9 crew that have gotten their own boat where, the same as I'm inspired by Delos and Riley and Elayna and everybody else in between, like to see our crew get their own vessels and be sailing around the world is beautiful. And some of those are couples that they did meet on the boat, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is so nice that your boat sometimes brings these people together.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what advice would you have for somebody looking for crew that's navigating, and anybody that's ever been to a crew website can say this, there's a lot of boats out there, especially boats owned by single men that are seeking crew, and you'll see these crew profiles and they say things like looking for a female between the age of this and this, willing to, you know what I mean? So how do you not end up in a situation where you're being asked to crew for the wrong reasons? We've talked a little bit about skippers vetting crew, but how does crew vet the skipper?
Yeah, I'm honestly glad you bring this one. I'm going to be dangerously blunt with it. Single women, do not go on a boat with a single guy. that you don't know. Like, I'm going to say that right here, right now. Like, that's,
I've
that's
heard
good
two
advice.
horror stories.
It happens out there. It's a disaster, isn't it?
yeah, I've heard of women getting left on beaches. I've heard some things that, like, if they don't have other crew or a partner, or you're not going on with a group of people. And also, and sorry for all the beautiful solo sailors of the world, but I also find that if there's a single guy sailing around by himself, like, you couldn't get one friend to come with you, you're probably a dick. So
Yeah.
Jeez.
For sure.
if it's for like one passage, like I know Riley did, but if it's like you've been doing this for 2 years, you're probably, come on.
Yeah. No,
You've
I
been
think
solo for 2 years.
That's a red flag, I think.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as a single woman wanting to go, just look out.
I've seen, do you remember that couple in the Azores and the dude was walking home and I was like, he's got some sort of virus and he was so drunk.
Yeah.
I've just seen so many situations and heard of who ended up in the hurricane.
Our friend, I won't mention names, but her and her friend, luckily she had another girl with her, crewed on a boat, just a solo sailor. He was about 55.
Really good boat.
With a good boat, but they got caught in like 60 plus knots. He tried to climb the mast with just his jocks on. They were so unprepared. Bree thought, Bree, oh God. Okay. Bree thought she was going to die. And they were just wondering, like, what happens if this guy gets knocked out? Like, we are in the middle of the Atlantic.
Which
what are we going to do?
But it was an avoidable situation. So that's the thing. So you really do need a good, conservative, non-egotistical captain, basically.
It wasn't
that's just trying to
either. They were stuck in a really bad situation because they didn't do enough research.
And yeah, this shit really does happen. So you do need to be careful. So I totally agree, Nate. If it's one-on-one and there's a single female, yeah, I wouldn't go on a boat with just a guy. I think, like, again, on SeaPeople, as their resume or their build-up, you can click on other people and find out more information. So as a girl or a guy looking to crew, you can find previous crew and stuff like that and really try to drill down on who they are. We don't have a star rating.
I was about to say we need anonymous review.
Rate people. Yeah, which maybe trying to avoid rating people, but it maybe
like Mira episode.
Yeah, no, but you can tap on their old trips. You can see any crew they're there. You can always tap on that person and send them a message. You can just vet their experience by looking at their logbook in general, their total miles sailed and stuff like that. And you don't end up in a situation like, I believe it was Hannah Goldberg that was very open with a story about crossing the Atlantic. I believe it was Hannah. I can't. And her and a friend, they went together to try to be safe. And they ended up halfway across the Atlantic, realizing the person was absolutely clueless. Boat was in shambles. The boat was not capable of crossing. And then there were fuel issues. The captain absolutely lost his shit and kind of went a little crazy. And those are the scary situations, right? Beyond like solo female with a guy, is the boat ready?
Does captain know what they're doing?
Know what the hell they're doing. And you're taking a risk, right? I mean, if you go hitchhiking, you're taking a risk. If you hop on a boat, it's glorified hitchhiking in a lot of ways. And you just have to do your due diligence, right?
I want to pipe in and say why we do this. Like, why do we have crew? So we've been doing this a while. Riley and Elayna have been 10 plus years, I think, right? Yeah. Way more than that even. For myself, like, I've seen hundreds of sunrises on the water, and so many times thousands of times bottlenose dolphins like on the bow, and I still love it. Every sea turtle, every moment I have on the boat, I absolutely love it. But I will never see it from the perspective of like seeing it for my first time. So by me having crew on board and seeing them every sunset pulling out their phone and filming it and running up to the bow when there's dolphins, it literally is me reliving that moment. And to be able to share that with so many people, I know for a fact that through the people I've captained with, that it has changed my life. And I've got 9 crew that have their own boats. I know that this is changing lives for the better and just showing people an alternative way of life that wasn't out there. And by things like SeaPeople, making it more accessible is an incredible thing. So yeah, that's why I have crew. If you're not experienced, that is why we're bringing you, is for those moments.
You might want to get a bigger boat. We can have more crew on.
A couple 17.
We've got it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
You guys are, I think anybody listening to this, it's hard to hide in a podcast, right? Because, and especially a live one, we're not recording this and tweaking it. But I think anybody that's listening can kind of get an understanding of what it means to be with a good skipper by just listening to you all, right? You care. Elayna's talking about feeling responsible if somebody doesn't really fit in or needs to leave for some reason, as opposed to blaming the crew member, right? Nate, you're talking about how much you care that these people are having these experiences. And if anybody's looking for crew, trying to figure out if the skipper cares about you seems important. Try to use Riley and Elayna and Nate as your benchmark and say, hey, is this the kind of person that's going to make me feel good? Is going to help me through the times when I don't know how to tie that bowline knot. And I just need to say, hey, I can't tie the bowline, and they're going to be forgiving and not scream. I think finding somebody with a positive temperament that can be like you guys are seems pretty important for anybody looking to be crew.
Agreed.
Super important.
That being said, question is, did you have experience with other skippers that kind of helped shape you into how you wanted to treat crew? Nate, is that something that you learned? You were on other vessels and around other people. Are there key takeaways that you learned? Yeah, I want to be like that, when I'm the captain, or I don't want to be like that when I'm the captain.
Yeah, I think what I said before about setting the expectations with the crew and knowing the difference between the captains of how much I learned per boat was imperative. I want people to get as much out of this experience as they put into it. If early on I find that they're like, I feel like I'm dragging them to put the sails up or to pull the dinghy up, you start to rely on people that are very keen on it. And the people that are jumping up and raising their hand for every moment, those are the people that take so much out of this experience.
I think there's two sailors that like Nikki Henderson and Kai Weeks. I am just in awe of them. I always will be. They're just like absolutely superhuman.
Know how to lead a team.
Oh, they have it like an aura. And when you're around them, you're just like, wow, like these are just very impressive people. So I really look up to those guys as sailors. I honestly think that maybe I learn more from people who are terrible. And the worse they are, I'm like, I get highly motivated to not be like this person. I fortunately these days don't, or maybe not so fortunately, I haven't encountered too many of them. But when you do, I really take note of what it is that they're doing. Recently, I sailed with someone and it was pretty obvious they were older and they just weren't as knowledgeable as I thought that they might be. And it was clear that they had just stopped learning and stopped wanting to learn. And I was like, okay, because things change in 3 years, let alone 5 or 10. And I really made a note of that. I think I said to her, I probably told you about 5 or 6 times since then. But yeah, I was like, I never want to stop learning because this person was just a disaster.
I want to take a second. We started chatting and time got away. Apologies to some of the people that had some questions in here. We had an Archer Aveline that asked a few questions and some good questions. Archer, I'm going to bring you over as a panelist here. If you could pick one of those questions that hasn't been answered so far and ask it live with us here. Turn your camera on if you don't mind. And if you don't want to turn your camera on, that's also okay. And unmute yourself, Archer.
Okay, I'm going to turn on my camera, but you guys probably aren't going to see much because my lights are off. Oh, look I'm like the ghost guy. Sorry.
Nice to see you, Archer.
Yeah, good to see all you guys as well. I was like, man, I'm going to have to stay up late for this one. So I was glad.
Very late where you are.
Yeah. But no, it's great. It's good to see you guys. I guess, I can give you a short story. Like I went down to the boatyard in Newport, Rhode Island, like 2 years ago, and I put something on the bulletin board just trying to do it. And like, really, like, I want to go back there to see if like people like drew a mustache on my picture because no one ever called me. I was thinking, certifications. And I just didn't really think of like, the soft aspect of it. And like, I don't even think I was smiling in the picture I put up. So it was a really bad first attempt. So I think it's really kind of like, I know that there's skills to have, but it seems like it's more just kind of being intuitive as to what everybody needs, not just the skipper and the other crew, but maybe even just the boat itself,
Yeah, I think so, mate. Yeah, less about certifications and more about the vibe.
Right.
It can be like that for sure. And I think you probably picked that up from what we were saying earlier.
Awesome, Archer. Well, thanks for hopping on. Great to see the ghost of your nose and your cheeks. But it's good to see you, buddy. All right, take care.
Bye.
It's getting hot in this van, and we are right at an hour now. So I want to give Nate a sec to kind of give everybody on here a little bit of a rundown. Give us the Expedition Drenched plug. Tell us kind of what you do and the kind of general idea of what it means to come on. Touched on it a little bit, but to come on your boats as crew and what that means.
Okay. We are a beautiful floating community. If you want to experience this, and I do believe we do this a little bit differently than some, where we adventure hard. Like we're out here scuba diving and free diving and going on hikes. And I think that if you go crew for a boat, not all boats are created equal. We talked about the vibe of the crew. Double check the vibe of the people, because if you do go crew for, let's say, an elderly couple, yeah, they might need your help and you might help cook, but are they going to be taking you to spots for the adventures and things that maybe you're looking for, and vice versa? Where for what it is, we go hard over here, yeah. And we send it. We do a lot of overnight sailing. We do a lot. And if that is of interest to you, to join a large floating community and learn how to sail and learn how to scuba if you're not already diving, you can check out our website. DrenchedExpeditions.org is a new website that we've set up just for this reason, just for crewing, just for letting people know when our next crew opportunity is. And our next crewing opportunity is actually September 25th to November 1st. So it's 5 weeks. And it is going to be going through Sipadan, up the river to see the orangutans and all that, the river that I cannot say. And then it's going to end in the north of Borneo. So it's going to be a really beautiful trip. And yeah, you can see all of our future trips from here on as well. So, and I really encourage people to find the best fit for them.
Yeah.
That's
Anyone
awesome.
would be super lucky to come on your boat, Nate. I want to go on your boat.
Yeah.
Looks fun.
It sounds like you have
Yes.
to plan really far in advance then, Nate, if you've got all of your trips planned out with dates and everything. Does that put extra strain on you and maintenance?
Yeah, it has. But also not planning put a lot of strain on me as well. I
Right.
love just kind of like going with the wind for sure. But with these big boats, like, okay, when is our next little mini refit? Where hauling these boats out are really hard. I don't think as hard as your new boat, however. And so just finding the places where you can do this kind of work is important. Maintenance is a never ending part of life over here. And to have a plan, I think helps everybody understand. One thing that I've learned from through feedback, even on myself, is it doesn't matter how much I think that I've communicated, that people sometimes don't know exactly what's going on. So each trip I try to have like 3 or 4 goals, we call them, and goals can change. Destinations can change. This is sailing. It's not locked in stone, but it's given me also the same as you guys, when you're trying to deal with sponsors or gear, packages, and all of this stuff, you kind of have to have little pinpoints around the map to pick these things up. So, yeah.
We had a big plan recently and then just turned around and went the exact other way. We decided to go downwind, which was, I think it was
genius.
But now we've put ourselves in the pocket, on the trap.
Yeah, we don't know how we're going to get out of where we are now, but that's okay. We'll figure it out later.
Mate.
But let's let Logan go. I can see he's hot in his van.
Wetting.
Yeah, we got to let it go. But thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, Elayna, you can bounce too if you need to. I think a really quick recap for everything that we've learned here is that it's really important, as a skipper, try to find some crew that have skills that fit with something that you guys brought up. You also brought up somebody that's traveled, has some kind of travel experience. That vibe check is as important as certifications, if not more important than certifications and anything else. Somebody that just kind of fits in and that you're going to get along with. You're going to spend a lot of time in close quarters when you hop on as crew. An important takeaway, I think, for everybody that's thinking about hopping on as crew is to ask the questions. There's no dumb questions, as Elayna said. Just ask the questions, and that's the safest way to be a competent crew member, right?
Tell us if you can't tie a bowline.
Yeah. So if friends are hard, that was another kind of key takeaway that people might not have thought of before, that sometimes it's harder when friends are on board. And don't go on a boat with a single guy if you're a single girl. That was one of our other key takeaways here. So yeah, I think all of that is kind of brings us back around to just being honest, right? Be honest with yourself.
And if you are a single guy who isn't a weirdo, do yourself a favor and build yourself up a great profile. have some trips with other people, show evidence that you are a great
I went
man.
with these girls or and this guy
Unfortunately,
here.
that's the way the world is.
It's not weird.
So you might just have to put in a little bit more effort. Yeah. But
Yeah,
Probably.
the shameless Sea People plug here at the end. You can do all of this on Sea People, and you can do it all for free. You can find crew. You can, at some point, I'm sure we'll have really advanced, cool crewing matching, and we'll probably have to charge something for that to keep the lights on and feed the developers. But we'll kind of keep you posted on how that goes. And for now, you can hop in. You can find yourself lots to be crew. And Nate, we need to get you hooked up with our engineers too. I think we could actually push some of your real-time trips right to your website too, which would be kind of cool. So maybe sooner than later on drenchedexpedition.com, you can see the live trips when Nate's out there and underway.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much for your time, Nate. We really appreciate it. And Logan, you are an absolute champion, and we thank you. You're a fantastic CEO of SeaPeople, and we're just so impressed with you every day.
he's the man.
Oh, that's so sweet. It's been a fun journey.
For Logan.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a fun journey with you guys, and stuff like this makes it fun, right? I mean, it's we got up at sunrise this morning to surf, and it's like not a burden at all to be on a call till midnight when you get to chat with legends like Nate and hop on with you guys and have a good laugh. So yeah, greatly appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening. This will be on YouTube. This will be on every player where you can find your podcast, and we will see you for the next one with Drenched, and I am butchering that name, and I apologize. They'll be with us in 2 weeks, and we look forward to that one. So we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Cheers, guys. Take it easy.
Good night.